The thing that we are going to discuss right now is all about the pleasure of reading. Since your early childhood, you have been listening this word reading many times. You have passed through many years of your school, college, and university education. But they say, yes, you should read. In your school, in your college, at your university, you have been hearing this word many times that you should read the book, learn to read and write effectively. You have been going through the word like reading comprehension. But what does that mean? What does the reading actually mean for many of the people? What does it mean? What is reading? When I was a schoolboy, when I used to go to high school, I can still recall those days of my childhood that in our school bags, it was really prohibited to have any guidebooks or notes in our school bag. There were there were inspection teams that they used to visit our schools, and they used to check even our school bags, and it was strictly prohibited in our government schools to bring any types of notes or reading material, helping material, or any guidebook to get help from. So it was really prohibited or stricted. And one of our teachers told us that when he was doing even masters in English literature from Punjab University, they couldn't find any notes on any single writer of poetry or novel or any other writer of literature. I think it was 40 years ago that type of study those people had. Now, many people have never seen the real textbook at their university life education. I am telling you this by going through many universities, educational environments, and I am talking about this sad fact after a long career in my teaching experiences. I have been teaching students from various institutes at various grade levels from very different geographical, cultural, and national backgrounds. I have gone through many different ages of students, age groups, and many different types of students from law professionals, from medical profession, students of engineering, students of botany and zoology. I have been going through the students of mass communication and business administration and banking. I have been teaching to the students of many different disciplines, and it's almost a tragedy with the humanity that students these days are no more familiar with the books. They have Many of them have never tasted what an immense pleasure there is in reading books. They have few selected notes, they have slides, they have all types of helping and guiding material. There is a lot of stuff on YouTube and on other social media networks in the form of online digital notes, especially in the post-COVID era that we are living now. After COVID, we have an immense trend and a rapid growth towards dependence on short digital form online resources and notes. Although it has benefited us in many ways, now there are shortcuts for learning. You can get the things quickly. But there is a great tragedy. We are passing through an age when reading is disappearing. But it will survive. Still, there are so many people who love reading. Still, you will find so many people in the libraries. Still, you will find so many people reading books in silence. But many of us and many of our young children and youth in our universities, many of them don't know how to read anymore. It's because of the digital addiction that we are having. It's because of our excessive use of mobile phone and other digital devices that our mind, the focus span of our mind is we have a very little focus span now. We cannot focus on any material for so long. There is a frequently asked question. Students say that we cannot do reading. We get bored, we get exhausted, we get stuck with the difficult lines. This is what we call intellectual laziness, a beautiful term. So, if you think that you cannot understand a line or a word, that doesn't mean that you should stop reading. Just struggle with it. Just ponder over it. There is a beautiful word, ponder, that to think about it again and again, to get the inside meaning, the hidden meaning, the inner concept behind those words and sentences, you have to go through them. So there is a war, there is a struggle of mind, of thought processing over language. And you cannot feel what type of immense player there is when you are successful at your, like T.S. Eliot said, you have to wrestle with the words. In your wrestling with the words, in your struggling to decode the meanings of a written text, when you work on that, and if after reading 10 times or maybe 50 times, in the past people used to read books many times. There are many quotations, there are many references you will find, many famous stories about different scholars and philosophers that they read a textbook for maybe 50 times or 100 times. Now you go through your BS, undergraduate or graduate programs, even without reading one single book, many people are passing their degrees. So this is a tragedy with humanity, with human beings, that we are not going to have any more access on the books. Our students are not familiar even with one single chapter of a book. But my dear students, don't lose hope, don't become despair. Be hopeful, do not give up. You can do reading. You just need to put your mind in an unoccupied space, in a vacant position to your brain and mind, because our mind, it is so much occupied by unnecessary thoughts. Our mind is always filled up with unnecessary thoughts. So you have to free up some space in your mind for reading. When your mind is so fresh, when your mobile is turned off, you are no more worried about your notifications, about your Facebook messages, about your WhatsApp inbox. So when your mind is unoccupied by unnecessary thoughts and your brain is fresh, your mind is fresh, now sit at a comfortable place. There is also a problem. People don't have a perfect place to read books. They don't have a beautiful place. Students I have seen through in professional career, in my teaching career at universities, all university students put so much money on their vehicles, on their heavy motorbikes, on their cars, on their beautiful shoes, on their dress, on their living standards, but they don't put their investment in creating a beautiful environment for their study. If you sit in a beautiful chair, you have a study table, you have beautiful books, you might have a beautiful lamp or candlelight, some flowers on your table, and you have beautiful books and a cup of tea you can have with you. Just arrange the things. A beautiful environment can motivate you for reading for a long time. So the atmosphere where you are reading also matters very much. It has psychological effects on you. If you want to improve your reading skill, you should also have a beautiful environment to sit in. There should be silence. Your mobile should be much at a distance from you. You should keep it at some other place if you want to enjoy the real pleasure of reading. So put your mobile phone at some other place and focus on your reading text. Now there is another thing, whether you are going to do extensive or the intensive reading. Extensive reading is for the sake of pleasure. You read a lot of stuff, like you go through many books on a topic, you are speedily doing reading, so much content and material. But in intensive reading, you read with much focus. Intensive reading is more focused reading, where you go for every single word, you go for every single sentence that you are reading. You do not skip. If there is an historical reference, you look for it. In intensive reading, You are reading with a great intensity. You get yourself lost into the words of the text that you are reading. You completely get absorbed inside the books, the pages of those books. Like Langston Hughes, who wrote about himself in his autobiography when I think his parents were separated. He was an African American and also a class poet of his school. So these were also the things. There were the poet societies in the schools and colleges. There were debate societies for speeches. They had those type of functions and celebrations. So the youth was occupied by such academic activities that they had a passion for that. They had a passion for learning, reading books, and going for these type of co-curricular activities. So this also increases actually the passion. And there is also a thing that which type of company, which type of friends or people you have around you. If you see, when a student sees his teacher reading books in library, the student gets inspiration. When a student never finds his teacher in library, he thinks that it's something that we can go through without it. So teachers should also make it their habit of going into libraries and reading books in front of their students to give them inspiration that this is a practical thing to do. All right, so so in intensive reading, you have to do much focused reading. You have to go for all the meanings of difficult words. You have to go word by word. You have to go line by line. Like you want to read a poem. You want to actually understand a piece of writing from a very famous writer like John Keats. Because of weather conditions these days in our country, my health was not so good, but I thought that I must record this content, especially first of all for my children. I have a son and I have a daughter. I might not be able to see even my daughter, but when I was a child, I was just 2 years old when I lost my father in a road accident. I could never listen the voice of my father. I could never see him. I searched a lot, but I could never. I just wanted to see the smiling face of my father. Throughout my life, I could not fulfill my wish. So my purpose, my intention of recording these videos, these very casual talks and discussions, is not for the sake of propagation anything. It's not for the sake of monetarily effects like many people are going through the YouTube or social media. These talks are not for the sake of commercial benefits. My first intention is to leave my words for my daughter, whose name is Aniza, and my son, Imad. I want to leave my words behind me for them. It's my hope, it's my dream. I don't know whether I will be successful or not to change thousands of my students. I am trying my best, I am putting my efforts, but I'm not sure whether I be successful to put thousands of my students, turning them back to libraries and seeing themselves attached with the books. I'm not sure, but one thing that is my dream, at least 2 of my children, I want to see them, my own children, reading books, going to libraries, learning classics. In this postmodern era, people think that those things are out of dated, but you cannot go through even the moderns and postmoderns without going through the classics. We must read the classic works, the old books, like in Urdu and Persian, we have Iqbal's poetry, we have Rumi, we have the great writers like Imam al-Ghazali. There is an illusionment about the teachers in academia. I have found this ignorance that they are teaching the students, find newness in you. They are teaching like read the new literature. They say read the modern literature and what's up to the mark, and they say what's the new, the modern. So they say contemporary literature or read the contemporary works, but it's an illusion in the field of knowledge and learning. You cannot go through the contemporary works without having a deep understanding of the classic and old books as well. They are an authority. So the whole shift in the minds of teachers, learners, researchers, scholars, and the people of academia in our country, in our society, who are focusing too much on the contemporary works, they are forgetting the fact that you cannot go through the contemporary writers and works without going through the classes. Few days ago, a student of Master of English Literature came to me. I asked him, "You are doing MA, have you read Joseph Andrews?" He said, "No." I was so shocked at that, how he could go through the English novel without reading Joseph Andrews. Wow, how a person can go through English literature without reading Shakespeare, and how a person can go through the Pakistani poetry without reading Iqbal. So here is actually the book of Iqbal I have with me. You can see this beautiful book and the candle here on this book. There are very few people who these days read Iqbal's poetry. Our students say that we cannot understand it. My children, you can understand it. Just try it out. Those were not angels, those were human beings who used to read. These type of books are a good food for thought. When you will not read these books, and people think that these books go beyond our head, these are difficult books to read. So if you will only read easy things, how you will improve yourself? You must read difficult books. Go and struggle with them. Just you need to get a bit focused on them. Use your mind. Brain can become addicted to this. And when you have tasted the real player, how happy a person is when he finally is successful to understand a line. You know that when you get a new mobile phone and when you get a new heavy bike that is purchased by your father, when you go back to home, which type of player really do you have? Do you feel a player inside you when you find your new mobile phone? Do you feel a player when you have a new motor car for you, a new house built for you? Same sort of player a person has when he is successful to understand the meaning of a line. When you will be successful to understand one chapter of a book, you will finish one chapter on discourse analysis written by a famous authentic author. You will find an immense player in you. You know, when I worked 8 hours just few days back on one of my research projects, at the end of those 8 hours, I felt an immense player inside me. Really, I was so amazed. I was feeling so excited when I found new citations for my arguments. I found my relevant content, some researches that suits my purpose. When I find some line in a book, there was a person who was saying to me that persuasion has nothing to do with rhetoric. And in one of the standard book of handbook of persuasion, I found the line that the persuasion was also studied under Greeks and they had the term rhetoric for these type of studies. So I found a reference that how persuasion is linked with rhetoric. When you are successful, when you have found such content, material references, true fine points of knowledge, there is an immense pleasure you will feel. I know it's very difficult for you to begin this journey of reading books, but it's not so difficult. Just begin. Just take the first step and you will really enjoy it. You just need to begin your journey. You will really enjoy it. It's not difficult. You should sit in the company of good people who have knowledge, who have wisdom, who know how to read the book. They will assist you. When you will go to libraries, when you will read When you will sit with such people who read books, you will find an inspiration. Rays will come out of their faces and eyes and hearts and minds when they will speak. You will catch something from those people. You will be automatically motivated towards reading books. So uh, it requires a great stamina and effort to do intensive reading. You need a lot of effort. You need the energy of your mind. So make your mind ready that I will read one book every week. So you can ask me from any subject you can ask me which types of book I should read, and I would certainly recommend you. So if you will not read books and will just go through the notes and pass your degree, then you will be spending your life just like random clicks. Roughly unruled life. Those notes, slides, and limited versions of learnings are for the sake of your professional degree. Your profession is not the purpose of your life. That is just for the sake of degree, is just a requirement for your jobs and your going to the next step. But how you will learn your life, the skills of your life, through the books, beautiful books. When you will start reading the poetry of Iqbal, when you will start reading great writers, when you will start reading the masterpieces of English literature or maybe in any other language, when you start reading about human psychology, it will definitely bring a revolutionary change in your life. So end up your mobile phone addiction and come back towards reading habit. Our students, they pass through many degrees, many courses, many educational institutes. But in my experience, when I have been teaching at universities, I have found very few students who actually know how to read a text, how to read a line, how to do interpretation after decoding, how you will interpret what are the meanings of those beautiful lines, how to extract ideas from a piece of text. And also, people don't know how to write properly, how to take notes. When you are reading a text, use beautiful highlighters to highlight the text. Never use a textbook in soft form. Whatever you want to read, just get it in the hard form so that you will be more focused on that. You should have in hard form the text, the material that you want to read. Also use highlighter to highlight the things, and you can also use a ballpoint, like some maps around the text. You will see, like if you have a piece of paper, now here is written the text, there is so much place here and there where you can note down, you can take notes, you can write beautiful points. If you find some interesting and important point in any line, you can write it anywhere around the book, around the pages. So you can have some extra pages as well with the book. Like I have the textbook of Othello by William Shakespeare. So if there are like this, there are a few pages of that book. So I have added up 50 to 100 pages. I have made them bound with the book just to note down extra information, the extra things that I want to. And also you should use some books for interpretation or some commentaries over that. Like if you want to go through Shakespeare, for example, and like you have the books of Martellings, you have the books of A.C. Bradley. So read those critics over that writer as well to understand it fully. And it also depends which type of subjects do you have, which discipline, which course you are doing, whether you are a law student or a medical student or an engineering student or economics or business student. From any field you are, there are very beautiful books. They are waiting for you. The libraries are waiting for you. The libraries of this country are for you. Just go ahead. It's time. It's time for turn taking. It's time to take initiative. Never lose hope. Books are written for you. There are also human beings who read the books. And don't think that reading will not give you happiness. It will bring an unmeasurable, untoldable, unreflective, immense pleasure in your heart. It will fill your brain and heart with so much light. So if you do not understand a text at the first step, do second reading and then do the third reading. Underline the words which are difficult for you. Go through the dictionaries. Now you have very easy way. Just write down on Google and you find the meanings. In our times, in the past, people used to use in book form, in hard form dictionaries. It was difficult. It was so time taking to find new words. And also you can discuss with your teachers and good students amongst you and your class fellows. You can discuss with them. The more you will read, the more efficient you will become. The reading text that you are reading are actually codes. The writer or the author who has written or composed that book, he has packed his thoughts, his ideas, feelings and emotions from his heart. From his heart and mind, he has collected ideas, information, thoughts, and feelings, and the writer has packed those thoughts, feelings, emotions, and informations into those books in the form of text. So, text is actually the codes. In those codes, some thoughts, feelings, emotions, or ideas or knowledge is packed. You have to decode that. For decoding there are some prerequisites for reading. Your good knowledge, and where you will get from knowledge from your prior reading. So reading is a journey. Spend your time with it. After a few years you will be such an amazing person. In our school life we read so many books. In college life we read books. Doing master in English literature we read so many books, and with the passage of time it improves your ability, your knowledge. So when you will read difficult books, this knowledge will assist you to decode those books as well. And if you have not even yet started the journey of knowledge and learning and books, then my dear, you are just wasting your time in educational institutes. Besides your degree and job, you are going to have nothing from your teachers. I strongly believe there is no knowledge without a good teacher and a good book. Whatever the modern theory says to you, or whatever the ideas you have got in your mind, the word will develop. When the radio came, people thought that the reading will end. Now radio is no more there, but still reading culture is there, books are there. When television came, people thought that now everything will be watched on television, books are outdated. Now people don't watch TV so much as we had in our childhood. TV is no more so common there, but books survived. Now you have internet, you have Facebook, YouTube trends. I challenge you, the day will come, these things will also be of not much common, and people would not be like that as they are now. But books will survive, the libraries will survive, the readers will survive, and good reading will be there. It's up to you whether you want to be a part of this beautiful world or not. Don't think that people will not read the books. Don't think so that now people don't read books. People read books. You are not reading the book. Just go ahead, come on and read books. Enjoy this pleasure. Join us in this journey of reading books. Be a part of the creative people, the innovative people, the readers. One book and knowledge can change your life. And traditionally, in the past, in the present, and in the future, bear this in your mind. There is no knowledge, there is no study, there is no education without book. God has selected the book to guide the human beings. Allah Almighty selected books to guide human beings. That is the natural universal phenomena of guiding and teaching the book. So if we are spending our lives without reading books, we are just wasting our lives. So my message to all of you, my dear students, with whom I have spent time, and especially my two little children, my son and daughter, my advice to you is just get connected with the books. There is nothing so player in this world. There is nowhere you find the peace of heart and mind if you only want to protect yourself from the dangers of this universe, just get yourself connected with the books. Langston Hughes, at the very early age, I think his mother used to go for the job and his father left his mother. He used to live with his grandmother, and Langston Hughes said, I used to be very lonesome in those days, living with my grandmother. Then it began that books began to happen to me, and I believed in nothing but in books and a beautiful word inside them. This is my message to all of you. The world is so cruel. Human society is suffering so much. We have a lot of crisis now. The humanity is being dehumanized. We are losing our all ethical moral values. We are just at the verge of destruction. Everywhere you can see what's going on around us. The only protection or the shelter, like T.S. Eliot said in The Wasteland, come under the shadow of this red rock. And my final message to all of you is, just come under the shelter of books. Reading and books can save human beings from burning and from this massive destruction that we have in our human society these days. And one interesting thing, I would like to recommend you a beautiful book by Mortimer Adler. The name of the book is How to Read a Book. If you want to start your journey of reading book and learning knowledge, so this book is key to your this journey of knowledge, and it's a key to knowledge, and it's also a key to thousands and millions of books, because it will teach you how to read a book. So How to Read a Book by Adler. You can get this book in the soft form, but must get it in the hard form as well and read it perfectly. This is just it was a freely a talk. You can see around me a very rough environment. It's not a formal way, because I don't believe in artificialities, because there is so much stuff, edited versions of human beings, edited version. So all the stuff now I will make for you, for my dear students, and especially two of my children, my son Imad and my daughter Aniza. So I will make the content for all of them, especially in this type of very natural way, like I live just. So it is as I am. I am not like Iago in Othello, who said, I am not what I am, but I am what I am. This is my very natural way of talking to people and delivering lectures as well these days. Thank you very much for watching and listening to my words. I hope so it will benefit you. And just the end of this lecture, just get up, select a beautiful book, arrange your things, get a lamp, a beautiful or candlelight, or some eatables on your beautiful table. Create a steady environment at your bedroom or a drawing room. And if you don't have at all, just go to libraries and start reading book to change your life. Thank you.